The Celtic cross is the bane of my existence, but maybe I should give it a better chance. I have a whole video breaking down the Celtic cross. I love it because it covers so many areas. Past, present, future. What's blocking you right now? What's conscious and what's unconscious? What's an external influence and internal influence? What's the greatest hope and greatest fear? And what's the key to the outcome? Those are your 10 positions. Those are my 10 positions, I should say. And I still don't know if that's something I tweaked years and years and years ago, because I learned the Celtic cross when I was like 20, or if I I don't know if I slowly personalized it, if I tweaked something somewhere, if I read a version. I've never been able to find that version exactly as written anywhere else, but that's how I memorized it. Let me show you. I'll show you. We'll do it with the mini because the mini has room. If you got a deck handy, grab it. Lay this out with me. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Okay. So Celtic cross is a great general check-in. What's going on? What's the reading going to be about? The first card's going to tell you. Okay. So card number 1, what's the focus of the reading? What's the heart of the issue? What's the central theme that we're addressing today? So that's going to be the first card. And I'm going to do a quick shuffle and then we'll just lay them all out real fast. We'll go through it. We should be able to go through it in like 5-10 minutes. Easy. Okay. So as long as I stay focused. Okay. So I'm going to do a general for, I'm just going to pick a name. Coco, I'm going to do a reading for you. You can say no, but I'm just picking somebody at random. So Coco, you're my volunteer. You're being voluntold unless you say no. Please feel free to say no. And I will try to avoid getting too personal about it. So unless Coco hollers with a no, I'm going to just do Coco as our sample. Okay. So Coco, let's see what's going on with you. And just feel free to just type in chat if this feels way off base. I'm not going to overthink it. We're just going to see what happens. Okay, what's the reading going to be about? What's the most pressing thing that we need to address right now? We have the Page of Water. Perhaps there's been an issue lately where you are maybe battling a little bit with your relationship with trust. Maybe you want to trust somebody or you're trusting too easily. Maybe that's gotten you in trouble before. Maybe it's just that you want so badly to just be like seen, to be able to let your inner child out and let yourself play. But let's find out. Let's get some more context. So that's essential. What's the heart of the matter? What's blocking that? What is blocking your ability to trust? Well, light is a bonus card. So I'm going to replace that just to make it easy for y'all. Here. Choice. Okay. I'll tell you what this means first, actually, before I just replace it. And then I'm going to continue on so you guys can see it with actual majors. But the light card is all about active energy, positive, leaning into being an active participant in your life. It could be that what's happening and why this like playfulness is being blocked, or where the fear is that you'll get harmed. There's a fear of being hurt, but there's also a desire to trust, a desire to put yourself out there. Anyways. So we have choice. This is also the Lover's card. So this is what's blocking this for good or for bad. What's in the way, or what is either helping it or hindering it. So what is either helping or hindering this central issue? So choice, this is about commitment. This is about, okay, if I trust, am I locked in? If I say yes to this, am I locked in? Is there fear of being locked in? Because this is about commitment, right? The Lover's card is about saying yes or no to something, but having that thing have a long-term implication. So maybe there's some concern here, and I'll often lay these kind of side by side. So we have Page of Cups. This is a card about naivete, about trust, about lightheartedness, about playfulness, about the inner child, about how we engage with the world through the eyes of sort of innocence. But there might be a fear of engaging, of trusting. There might be a little bit of a fear of putting yourself out there, because what if you get locked into something that's bad for you, right? So that's kind of what I feel like is at the heart of the issue. Lying in the unconscious, we have the Emperor. We're really fearing a loss of control here, right? The Emperor is all about what is within your authority, what is within your control. And unconsciously, there's this concern about, what if I lose that sense of control? What if something comes in, or I let somebody or something into my life and I lose that sense of control? There's a deep desire to trust. There's a desire to throw yourself into something, but a fear of loss of control. So human. We all deal with this. What's consciously going on, something you're probably already aware of, is the Empress. You want to have this like relationships that nurture, right? You want to have these heart-centered relationships. You want to feel connected to people, and you want to feel like you can lean in, not only that you can support others, but that you can be supported. But I think there's real fear of getting hurt. That's kind of what I'm sensing from all of this. Now, recent past, we have the Nine of Fire. We are tired, okay? We've been putting a lot of work into relationships or into connections, and not always feeling like our energy is getting replenished, right? There's a feeling of like, I'm putting out and putting out and putting out, but I'm not necessarily getting back in. Now, this isn't so much about transactionalness, about like you give and then they give kind of thing. But the Nine of Fire can indicate that you've been pouring a lot of energy into something. in the recent past and haven't always felt like you've been able to kind of keep up with that. There might be a lot of demands on your attention or energy, or you might just feel a little bit depleted, and that could be interfering with your ability to give right now. But that was in your recent past. So this is a journey just coming to a close. Journey's just beginning. Your upcoming future, near future, is the King of Air. This is what you're moving toward. And the King of Air is all about strategy and logic and sort of thinking things through. It's okay. I want to make sure we can see him. It's okay to bring your heart online, right? It's okay to say, to bring your mind online. Sometimes we think that if we bring our mind into the process, that we're going to completely disconnect from our heart. You can have both. You can stay connected to your heart and still be smart about it. And so I think you're just moving into a phase of your life where you're trying to be a little smarter about who and where you put your energy into. So hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, feel free to let me know if I'm way off base on anything. Okay, internal influences. This is our next card. This is how you're influencing your situation. We have the Eight of Earth. This to me is often about like repeating habits, often things that lead us in the direction of mastery, things that are skillful. But it could be that with the Eight of Earth in the internal influences, that you continue to sort of do the same thing, kind of hoping for different results. And you can eventually build different results. But what you don't want to do is bang your head against a wall. So maybe there's some concern that you're banging your head against the wall, right? With the eight of Earth. So external influences, we have the Hanged One. You're not always in control of other people and what they do. You're stuck waiting. So this is, again, outside influences. These are things you are not in control of, but that are still affecting you. And so here we have this external influence coming in, the Hanged One, that's saying, no, you got to wait for other people to do their part. So sometimes you literally have to sit back and go, I've done what I can do. Now I need to let the other person come to the table and contribute. Okay. Next is greatest hope and greatest fear, because they're often the same thing. We have the Two of Air. This is the do I or don't I card. We don't want to be put into a position where we have to decide in or out. Like the cat at the door, right? The cat is like, scritch, scritch. And you're like, okay, come in. And the cat comes in. And then they just stare there and they meow at you. And then they scritch, scritch to go back out. It's like, make up your damn mind. Let me get to the point. This greatest hope, greatest fear, you want a decision to be made. You want to know, am I all in on this or am I all out of this? Or maybe you want the other person to say, I'm all in or I'm all out. But you're also afraid of that, because either way, it could go a way you don't want it to go. And so while you want to get that point where you can kind of know for sure what's happening, there's also fear that it's not going to be the outcome you want. So let's look at the key to the outcome. Key to the outcome. Notice I didn't say outcome. Key to the outcome. How do we get to where we want to go? How do we get to the point that we need to get to? We have the Sun. The Sun is about authenticity. We stop pretending we're something and someone we're not. If you want to get to the next stage of whatever this is, wherever you're trying to build, and it feels very relationship oriented with another person, maybe it's several people, maybe it's relationship with a job, with family, etc. But that Sun card is a call to strip off your masks, be yourself. You don't have to be a jerk, but be yourself, because if they cannot accept you as who you actually are, they may not be the right person for you. Period and stop. If you cannot strip back to the part of you that is tender and vulnerable and deserves to be able to trust, if you can't be this person with whoever it is that we're reading about, then they are not right for you. So the call to you is to lean more into your authenticity, strip back, let yourself be seen in the full line of day, give the other person a chance to accept you as you are. Maybe you're so afraid to trust that you're not even waiting to see if they can be trustworthy. You're not putting yourself out there quite enough. Will you risk getting hurt? Yes. You have to decide if that's a risk worth taking or not. But at the end of the day, authenticity is required. Now, I didn't time that, y'all. I didn't time it, which I should have. But do you see what I mean about the Celtic cross? Not only, we don't even need a question. When I did these readings for clients, I didn't even ask a question. Let's talk about what's on your mind and what's going on. Let's get into it. And if it's about work, it's going to come up. If it's about relationships, it's going to come up. What actually needs to be addressed right now will come up. That's just my experience with the Celtic cross. I'm just saying. That's what I break down in my Celtic cross video. So if you want to hear a much more thorough breakdown of how that spread works and how I use it, that's where you can find it. But I break it down in my book, Unlocking the Tarot. I break it down in my Celtic cross video, and I just broke it down for you now. It's actually, people get in their head about the Celtic cross because it seems intimidating, but it's like, so when you start to just like do it and practice it and just see what it does, I feel like it just opens up. I can use the Celtic cross for literally anything. Literally anything. You can ask a question or don't ask a question. Whatever needs to be answered is still going to come through. Anyways, Coco, I hope that was a useful reading for you. Also, I'm sorry that my reading style is a little bit pointed. And if that was too pointed, I apologize. That is definitely my style. Okay. Yeah, Aurelia, exactly. This is the punchline. If you can just like get out of your own way. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be complicated. And I think that's the problem with Celtic Cross, is that it's been talked about for so many years. And I just learned it as like an easy spread I could pull. I wanted one spread I could use in any scenario. And the Celtic Cross just does that for me. Coco says, I think you've sold me on the Celtic Cross. That was so enlightening. Yay. Okay, good. And what matters is that if you got the information you needed out of the reading, obviously. Okay, Tracy how is internal different than unconscious? This is in the Celtic Cross, and this is such a great question. So, where's my mini? Okay, let's look at it. The way that I will typically word it, I was going quick, so I didn't clarify, but let's just look at the positions. We have the heart of the issue. What is affecting that issue for good or for bad? Some people will see this as a blockage, but it can be helping or hindering. What is unconscious? A better way to word this, and the way I often word it when I'm sitting with a client, is what is something you may not be aware of that is affecting the situation? That's your unconscious. Conscious, what is something you're probably aware of, but let's talk about it, is the conscious position. Recent past, upcoming future. These are journeys just coming to a close. These are journeys just beginning. These don't have to be like way off in the future, right? This is near future. This is what's around the corner. What trajectory, what path are you headed down if you make no changes? Where if you're aiming a bow and arrow at a target, what target are you aiming at? That's kind of what this is, right? Where are you aiming? You can change your aim, right? But where are you aiming? And then when we come over here to the staff part of the cross, we have internal influences. This is how you specifically are impacting the situation right now. What is something that you are currently doing that is contributing to your situation in any possible way? So unconscious influences and internal are kind of cousins. They're both ways that you are impacting the situation, but you're not really aware of this. You are aware of this. These are actually both internal influences if we're going to break it down like that. This is a conscious internal influence. This is an unconscious internal influence. This is a general internal influence. Doesn't matter whether you're conscious of it or not. This is something that you are currently doing to contribute to your situation. Is it a bit redundant? Probably. Does it still feel helpful in my reading? Yeah. But if it doesn't, change it. Think of something that's missing from the Celtic Cross that you really wish were in there and change it. This is the best way to make the Celtic Cross a spread that's going to work for you. If you're like, I don't want to read past and future, I don't care about that. Maybe you make this a current challenge, but like change it. Just write down your change, practice it for a while, see if you like it. And if you don't like it, change it again. And keep changing it until you get what works for you. We have internal influences, external influences, greatest hope and greatest fear, and key to the outcome. I turn them sideways so they'll fit, by the way. They're normally like this. I just don't have room on my table. Anyway, always give yourself permission to make a practice yours. There's nothing better you can do for yourself as a reader. Make it yours. Make it make sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, it's not going to be useful. If you find something confusing, change it until it's not confusing. And you can always revisit the original way if you want to, but you don't have to. And that's, I guess, the punchline. Okay, Maj asks, when you read with the Celtic Cross, is it better to read as you draw card by card or wait until you have the whole spread at a glance? Ooh, okay, this is personal preference. When I first was reading the Celtic Cross, I would lay everything down face down, okay? We're talk Celtic Cross, that's fine. So I would lay everything down face down, and then I'd go through them one by one. And I might have even done this when I did my video, I can't remember. Now, I found this really helpful when I was new to this spread because then I wasn't distracted by everything else, and I was looking at each individual position on its own. So what is the heart of the issue? We have the Three of Earth. There's an issue around working with others. This may be a work thing. This may be somewhere where we need to actually rely on other people in order to get something done, but something's going on that's more like collaborative or whatever. So what is getting in the way of that, or what is helping that? And we have the Devil. This is a repeating pattern, usually a negative one. Whose negative pattern am I dealing with? Is it my negative pattern? Is it somebody else's? And you can go from there, right? Now, over time, I started laying the spread like this because when I read for other people, and I didn't get into this because this really complicates it, so only add this stuff if it makes sense to you to do. But I would always, when I read for clients, and if you've ever had a client like a professional reading for me, then you know this already. But what I would do is I would always say to my client, okay, I'm going to, and I'll tell them this while I'm shuffling, just so you know, when I lay the cards, I'm going to take a few seconds or a minute or two, and I'm going to maybe have a sip of my tea or my water, and I'm going to look at everything and I'm going to take it in, and then I'm going to start talking. And just so you know, once I start talking, I'm pretty like boom, 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 boom. So if you need me to pause, feel free to tell me to pause. It's a common disclaimer I'll give. Because when I first lay the spread with all the cards visible, I'll take a beat and I'll take a look at what's on the table. What do I notice? Is there a lot of a particular element? We talked about this earlier with open reading. For example, in this spread that I have down here, can you see everything? Yeah, you can, I think, pretty much. Scooch everything up a little. I can see that I have air cards here, here, and here. That's 3 out of 10 cards are air. Okay. I have fire, water, earth. I have water. So I have 2 earth right here and here. I have water and fire, and I have 2 major arcana cards. So it's a little air dominant, which means that my client might be in their head a lot. So I can be aware of that. Okay, there's probably a lot of mental energy going on here, or there might be a lot of communication or a lot of talking. But otherwise, the elements are pretty balanced. I might also notice things like, is there a lot of major arcana? Because that's going to feel like a much richer, heavier meaning or a reading, right? Is there an element missing? Do we have like a lot of fire and absolutely no water? So I'll look at things like that. I'll look for things like repeating numbers. Do I see a lot of 7s? For example, there's 2 7s here. Do I see an absence? I don't really look for absences of numbers because there's so many numbers that it doesn't really come up. But I usually look for absence of elements or dominant elements. I'll look for dominant majors or no majors. If there's no majors or only like 1, it's probably a situation that's pretty well in, like it's mutable. It's kind of changeable. It's in flux. It's not very fixed. If it's got a lot of majors, it feels bigger, richer, deeper, and more fixed. So I'll do all of that before I even start reading. But I can't do that if everything's not face up. So I do that little pre-check for patterns before I'll start speaking and reading, right? But you don't have to do that. And that's a lot. And that's overwhelming if you're new. I would say if you're new to the Celtic Cross or new to a bigger spread like this, and you're just getting comfortable with it, you might find it a lot easier to have everything face down and read them one at a time. I lay them all first. If I'm going to do that, I'll lay them all first face down and then start talking through them as I flip them. But it also works to like place it, talk about it, then place the next one, talk about it, then place the next one, talk about it. It can help you focus and not be so distracted. Like if you know the tower's coming up and you're the type of person that's going to go, oh God, what am I going to say about the tower? What am I going to say about the tower? What am I going to say about the tower? You're not going to be paying attention and you're going to have a hard time reading. So if you know you're that way, start with them face down or read them as you go so that you don't have that problem. But I find that useful because I love looking at patterns and looking at layers and all that kind of stuff. And I do that in every reading pretty much. I do it even in like member readings when I'm just pulling 3 cards. I always quickly glance first. What do I see? And you'll know, because if you watch my readings, you'll notice I'm usually quiet for a couple moments. That's also a good practice, especially if you've warned your client you do that, because it gives you permission to slow down and take a breath. You don't feel like you immediately have to know the answer to everything. You can pause, take it in, think about what it might be telling you, and then start speaking. And that gives you so much more empowerment as a tarot reader